Shalom, family. We're still here in Michigan awaiting this weekend's event, and so we decided to come down early, a lot earlier than the event, so that we could spend a lot of time with our family and friends. And thankfully we've been able to convince some of them to go to the event with us. Thank the Most High for that. But what I'm out here to talk about is the catch-22 of being a so-called black person. Of course, you all know that I realize we are not black. That is just something that has been assigned to us, but I use that terminology sometimes because many of our people have no idea what it means to be an Israelite. And so as they're learning this, learning who we are, I refer to the term black only for those who are still in the dark. Okay. I know what black is, I know what white is. Both of them are colors, of which there are no human beings that are white and there are no human beings that are black. You have some that are extremely dark and you have some that are extremely pale, but no black and white so much, okay? In the real sense of what those colors represent. Okay, off of that. Now, the catch-22 of being black. This just kind of came to me yesterday after we had spent a great deal of time in Detroit. Okay, we are not in Detroit staying right now. We're in the metropolitan Detroit area. We're in one of the suburbs of Detroit staying with family. But we did go to Detroit to see some other family. And while there, okay, for the person who said that we should go to Belle Isle to see the things that have changed there in downtown, we did get a chance to go to downtown Detroit. We took the children driving around, and we also took them to Belle Isle to drive around and to, you know, see some of the things that we experienced living here in Michigan. Okay. So, for the most part, it was a good learning experience and outing for the children. But there are some parts that weren't so nice in terms of the memories that came flooding back. And then to see things, how they have shaped up since we've been gone. It's been 10 years since we moved out of here. 9 years since we last visited. I'm just going to go right to it, family. When we left here, we were Christians. We had no idea who we were as a people. Okay. We thought we were Gentiles that were grafted in, only to come and find out that we are Israelites that have to be regrafted in. And that's two different worlds, two different mindsets, two different thought processes. Okay, let me tell you why. The catch-22 of being a so-called black person is this: you really don't fit in anywhere when you are in the truth. But as we were driving through various areas of Detroit, the other day when we went to Detroit, it was on the west side. And anyone who lives here knows that there is a difference in the east side and the west side. So yesterday we went to the east side. Now, in terms of crime and stuff like that, there's not too much difference, but coming up or growing up here, there used to be a difference in even that. If you lived on the east side, that was a total different, almost country than the west side. Total different atmosphere, okay? But as we drove through various areas on the east side of Detroit, we had the camera out and we were looking at our people. Yes, our people. That wasn't the thought always, that all of these people are people back then. Of course, as a black person, I knew that we were connected somehow, and I've always loved my people. Always loved my people. But it's different now. It's totally different now. You love them with a whole different mindset of knowing who we all are and what we are going through as a people. I remember when we lived here being so frustrated with black people that when certain things would happen, I would say, things like, that's what that Negro gets, and, stuff like that. I don't feel that way now. Now when I look at a person, as I saw yesterday, a woman who looked like she was stoned out of her mind. And she was walking up and down the block, and she wasn't here mentally. She wasn't here. I'm just going to tell you, family, I was overwhelmed yesterday by what I saw in the city of Detroit. I was overwhelmed because I know who these people are, and I know that they don't know who they are. And so it just really overwhelmed me to see my people in this condition, and to see how the city has went down, and to see our people in this condition and knowing that they don't know who they are, and you want to go up to them and tell them who they are. You want to tell them that they are beloved, but I know that you can't do that. You can't just go up to someone and shake them and say, do you know who you are? You can't do that. But as I was looking at these people, I was telling my husband last night that I was just overwhelmed with, I was just overwhelmed with emotion, looking at our people and knowing that most of them are in the dark. They have no idea why they're in the condition they're in. We were going, and the children were just looking at the community, and of course, being children who didn't grow up in the city of Detroit, they don't always know the right things to say. And you have to explain to them what's going on. They know who our people are. They know that there is a curse on the Israelites because of the sins of our forefathers and our own sins. But they don't always know the right questions to ask. And so you have to guide the conversation as to why they are seeing the things that they are seeing. I'm telling you, it was, for me, it was tripped out. It was really tripped out. And even my husband was saying, man, wow, oh my goodness, just different things like that as we're driving through. Now, it was rough when we were here, but it seems as though the corrosion just took over, and that our people are just being destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Walking up and down the street, lost. And like I said, you wish that you could just go up to them and they would say, oh really, that's who I am? But the catch-22 is this. The reason why it was really hard to deal with this is because the catch-22 is the fact that you could literally lose your life in the city of Detroit at the hands of these people that you love so much. We were watching the news at various intervals of our visit here, and these black faces that you see, not all of them, but some of them, these black faces that you see are so cutthroat. Some of these people will slaughter you, kill you, and think nothing of your life, period. And you would think to yourself, you would say to yourself, do you have any idea how much I care for you, or I love you, and don't want to see you hurting as my brother or my sister? And this person wouldn't care anything about that. And we had to explain that to our children, that some of these people that we see walking up and down lost, aimless, roping around in the noonday, that they are lost. and that many of them would take this truth and they would ball it up like a piece of paper and throw it in the trash. Because the cares of this life have them so wrapped up, tied up, and tangled up in sin that they can't even wrap their minds around anything like that. Being over on the east side of Detroit and seeing the whole landscape has changed, and knowing that our people are being herded around through gentrification and just put into situations that are different and worse than what many of them grew up in, because the prime land is going back to those who see our people as nothing. Okay, they see us as nothing, absolutely nothing, no compassion, no love, nothing. And so they're coming back and they're taking back the Detroit waterfront. They've taken it back. They've taken back Belle Island. They've taken back the downtown area and the surrounding areas of the downtown area and major roadways that lead to the downtown area. They're building things that our people cannot afford to live in. And they have herded them out of those prime areas into rundown areas and other locations. And to see how we are so easily herded, no leadership for the so-called black community, because we are sleeping. We are powerless right now because we're trying to stand in our own power. The catch-22 of being a so-called black person is when you serve a white God, and that is not what our Father looks like. And I know many of you don't care or think that color doesn't matter. When you have lied to a people for so long and had them think things was this way, but it's really that way, and our people are stuck over here serving false gods, it does matter. This is why we are so easily controlled and herded around, moved around, because we have lost the power that goes with being this over here, being in our true state as the children of the Most High Yah. We are serving the image of a God that looks just like people who hate us, who despise us. I'm going to tell you all about an incident that happened a few days ago. We went to a place of business around here, and I feel like I'm a different person now than the person I was before we left here 10 years ago. And I know I am. The Most High has revealed to me what the change has been, and I'm grateful. This change needed to take place for a number of different reasons. Okay? But there was something that happened. We were in a place of business, and we were in line. We were actually sitting, and the person who was next was there being waited on. And as I was sitting next to my husband, this white woman was talking to the young lady that was in front of us like trash. She was a young black woman, looked like she was in her 20s. And I'm looking at this woman, this white woman, talking to this young lady like she was trash. And she had this smug look on her face as she was waiting on her. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking her dead in her face just like this. I would say that we were about maybe 15 feet, maybe 10 feet away from her. Even though she was on the other side of the counter, I would say we were about 10 feet away from her. No more than 15 feet. And the way she's dealing with this young lady, I'm looking at the young lady and her expression, and I'm looking at the white woman and her expression, her tone, the way she was talking to this young woman, the way she was treating her and handling her, and I'm looking back and forth at the two. And I started to speak to my husband on this, and I spoke in a way to where both of them could hear us and the people on the side. And I was basically saying, isn't it something how these people treat us like trash, but yet they take our money? And I'm speaking, I wanted her to hear me. And so after she was done dealing with the young woman, and she still had this smug look on her face, We had already placed our order. We were just sitting down while this young woman was next in line. And so as I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for our number to be called, I then go, I guess I was just kind of dazed and off. My husband was talking to me, and it was like I was hearing want, 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 you know, the Charlie Brown. I really wasn't hearing what he was saying because I was so fixed and focused on what I just saw and how this white woman was treating my young sister. And so I was purposing in my mind, I said, I'm going to say something to her. I'm going to say something to her because here she is collecting black dollars, and she has the nerve to treat my people like trash. And so when they called us forward, and she had the nerve to say, thank you and have a nice day, I said to her, I said, you need to treat your black customers a lot better than you are, because I am sure a great portion of your revenue comes from black dollars. And she looks at me and she said, what did you say? I said, you heard me. I said, a great portion of your dollars come from black dollars. I'm sorry. A great portion of your revenue comes from black dollars. And the way you treated this young woman was not right. I know that a good portion of your money or your revenue comes from black dollars. And I walked out of the place of business. There was a black person who was sitting down, and they said, I know that's right. But when I spoke these words to her, she had this look on her face like, who does this Negro think she is? And her response of, what did you say? It's that same massa mentality, like we are supposed to bow our heads in shame when speaking or dealing with them. And that's how the young lady was acting. She was acting as if, okay, even though this woman is scolding me with her looks and with her attitude, that I have to be servile towards her. And I felt like I had to defend this young woman and every black person that comes into this establishment, because this woman knows. I didn't see one white face come in this place, not one. And for her to treat her black customer this way, I'm sure this is not the first time, which is why this other black person said, I know that's right. Because I'm sure many of them have seen or received that same attitude from this woman, but were too afraid to say anything about it. Too afraid to say anything about it. And so, with that, I just want to say to my people that being a so-called black person, there's a catch-22 that you're put in because, and I told my husband this, I couldn't say it while the young woman was there. I had to wait until she walked out, because even though the white woman treated her like trash, had I defended her while she was there and didn't wait until she walked out, some of your own people will turn on you and will say, oh no, it's okay, or I don't feel like I was treated like trash, or no, it's, sometimes our people are so servile against our oppressors to where they will defend their oppressors. And so I said, I'm not going to let this slide. But I knew better not to do it in front of this young lady. Although I did it in front of the other people, I didn't want to do it in front of her, because I had a point that I needed to make to this white woman. That you better think twice, because you are collecting black dollars. And it goes back to what many have talked about before, what we have talked about before, that we need to start boycotting these establishments as much as we can, because these people don't care about us. They don't care anything about us. And we as a people need to start doing more to have our own business establishments. I don't care what it is. Now, I do realize we can't do everything. We won't be able to start any car companies here in America, no doubt. Although they have in the past, I don't believe that we have to do everything. But we need to pick and choose the places that we will do business with, because our enemies look at us as liquid money. That's what they see us as. And because we don't know that, we are happy to be liquid money, you see. And a person that's in the truth kind of finds themselves stuck in the middle. They can't go over here to the left or to the right, because to the left you may have racist white people who don't care what your successes are in life. They will still treat you a certain way. And to the right, you will have black people who are asleep, who care nothing about your beliefs or your understandings. Even if they did believe that we are the people of the Bible, some of them don't care about it, you see. And they will victimize you if you get too close to them. And so we find ourselves stuck in the middle in a catch-22 situation where you don't know where you fit in. You can't go over here and you can't go over there, because you think you might get love over here because these people look like you, but that is not always the case. You know you're not going to get love over here, but for some reason your mind done tricked you into thinking that you're safer over here. Why do we as so-called black people think that we're safer with white people than we are with our own people? That's because we are in a catch-22. Catch-22 meaning there is no safety in either. There is no safety in either. As far as I'm concerned, dead is dead. Whether it's a so-called black person who robbed you and killed you, or whether it's a so-called white person who shot you while walking black, dead is dead. That's the catch-22 of not knowing where to go amongst the people in this world, because there's this darkness that is flooding the earth, that has flooded the earth long time ago. But there's a certain darkness that we see happening right now because we're headed towards the end. You know, there's a documentary called March Toward Armageddon or something like that. So we are headed towards the end of this present world. You see, the scripture says Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of the world that follows. And so as we get closer and closer to this pivotal point in time, in history, so many things are starting to transpire that just blows your mind. They just blow your mind. I was looking at the news the other day with my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law, and we were looking at some things that were happening here in Southeast Michigan, and I said to myself, man, things are really tripped out in this area. There was a white woman that was killed, and I was sitting there thinking, I didn't want to verbalize it at first, but then I said it. I said, I hope the person wasn't black that killed her. And guess what? The person wasn't black. It was a white man who killed her. Just broke in on this woman, broke in on her and killed her. There was another young white woman that was killed here recently in Southeast Michigan, and I was thinking the same thing. And she too was killed by another white person. And it's really sad when you are thankful that it wasn't one of your own who was featured in this bad news. Now, I did see a good portion of news that was black people who committed heinous crimes. It wasn't against white people, it was against our own people, in which that's the narrative that we see. But what I saw in this and was able to point out that people are always focusing on black crime, but here we are witnessing right before our eyes just as much white on white crime, where they are killing their own, you see. And so it's very depressing, especially when you move to a small town and you're not really connected to anything or anyone. I know that things happen in these small towns. I know they do. We had a recent tragedy where there was a black man hung in our town by some white people. And it was very tragic. Of course, you know, they always like to say suicide, but the family knows better, you see, and we know better. They're always labeling it as suicide, but the truth is what it is. But when you come to an area like this that is heavily populated, not just in the city of Detroit, but even the whole Southeast Michigan area, the population is great. If you were to take Southeast Michigan alone and calculate the population, the numbers are staggering. And so you're going to see and hear all of this crime that's going on, and it could devastate the mind of someone who's not in this area, or someone who's moved away from this area. Even though we're out in the suburbs right now, in a very nice area, my brother-in-law told us that right beyond the fence over there, there was a murder where there was a white woman too, and this time the killers were black. They went into this place of business where she worked, and they killed her. They tried to rob, and I don't believe there was anything that they were able to get, but they killed her anyway. And as my brother-in-law was telling us about this, he said they killed her just because they could, and probably out of frustration that they couldn't get anything in this robbery. And I said to myself, the spillover of crime in areas such as this, whether it's a black criminal or whether it's a white criminal, is just staggering. You look at the news around here and you see white crime, black on black, white on white, white on black, black on white. I mean, you're seeing crime from every area in this area. You're seeing all kinds of crimes, and so you get overwhelmed by the things that you see in the city, and you see that our people don't understand what's going on. They're just walking around in the daze. Some of them you can't smile at. We told our kids you can't speak to everybody when you come to Detroit, especially our son Elia. He's very friendly, and we told him that you cannot speak to everybody in the city of Detroit. Everybody will not accept your warm smile and your embrace and all of this. Now, I don't want to paint the whole area in a bad way, okay, because there are places we've gone into and the people were extremely nice. I mean, you get that anywhere. You see, there were some really nice people. We went into a Kroger grocery store, and we didn't have a Kroger card to get the discount, and so there was a white woman on one occasion who let me use her card, and I thanked her for that. And then there was the black cashier who let me use her card, and I was thankful to her for that. And so, yeah, you get a lot of nice people here too. And I don't want people to think that it's just so cutthroat to where you can't get a smile here. I just want our people to understand that if you're living in these areas, to be careful, be very careful. Thankfully, there's a lot of Israelites here that are in the truth and are ministering to our people. And you're going to feel a certain kind of way when you see a people who are lost, and you know what the word says about this. This is why so many people are starting to say, look, I have to get out here and talk to my people. This is why you see such a rise in people who are on the streets. You know, there's a lot of brothers on the streets. Many of them are not going about it the right way. They're using violence and, should I say, violent words and highly charged, hateful words to try to win people. You can't do that. But the group that we're going to be meeting with this weekend, they are totally different. When they do their street ministry, they are very calm about it. They are very caring and loving with how they deliver their messages. And I believe the Most High can use that kind of situation, but he can't do too much with these people who are just making the movement appear to be some type of cultish, radical, angry movement. You see, that kind of stuff gets in the way. Well, I'm not going to chatter on too much longer here. I started off talking about what it was like being back in the city of Detroit, in the heart of it, going from the west side to the east side and seeing how things have just went downward. I even went down Joy Road towards Southfield, and some of you may have heard my testimony about the dream that I had about being on Joy Road